Coming up next on the Jeff Crilley Show, the hot housing market has cooled off just a little bit. So is this a good time or a bad time to buy a home? We'll talk to a real estate pro next.
Many are predicting that the worst is yet to come, which is unfortunate, said one person here. Until now, they've enjoyed the reputation of being the nation's icebox.
Watched a burglar in his home this morning by webcam.
As a journalist of over 25 years, stories are what make my world turn.
Reporting live from the Dallas newsroom tonight, Jeff Crilley, Fox 4 News.
But in 2008, I took the jump from my familiar life and started a PR firm from my home.
We're talking about anyone with a camcorder like the one I'm using becomes a television network.
We started slowly growing the company, and we now have over 100 clients, and we've branched into the world of live digital broadcasting. I now own 8 different TV studios and have a huge team, and the stories that I now get to share are sometimes the most important of my life. Life has a funny way of coming around full circle. This is the Jeff Crilley Show.
Well, it's the law of gravity. What goes up must come down. And the hot housing market has cooled off just a little bit. Some people say it's kind of leveling off. Lumber prices are coming back down and things are not as crazy as they were a few months ago. To get a market update, April Temple, she is a realtor with Ebby Halliday. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, Jeff.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into what's going on in the market, I want people to understand you and your motivation and your journey. You did not start out in home sales.
No, I did not.
Tell us about your journey.
So my background is actually in pharmaceutical sales. I did that for 10 and a half years and decided to make a career change, make a career switch. Also spent many years in the fitness industry as well.
Cool.
And my parents were in real estate, and I decided to go ahead and become a realtor myself.
Well, nothing feels better than getting a couple into a home, does it? Just
Yes.
that smile on their face.
Yes.
What's it been like so far? I mean, when you got into real estate a couple years ago, the market was already starting to go like this. It
Yes.
got really crazy a year ago, didn't it?
Yes, it has been really crazy. And, you know, it is a challenge for people, whether they're buying or selling. You know, the market is kind of crazy right now, but, you know, nothing makes anybody happier than being able to buy or sell a home. And nothing brings me more joy than to be able to help them through that step of their life.
Sure. Tell us about COVID because, you know, you're relatively new in your real estate career and then COVID happens. And,
Yes.
and there's not a handbook for this one.
No.
So what happened? And in the early days of COVID, were you scared? Because nobody really wanted to meet anybody or see homes physically, right?
Yes, it was a challenge. You know, such things as open houses, they went away. We had to go to virtual showings. We had to get creative on how are people going to be able to view a house? How are the safety measures going to be as far as people coming into houses to see them? So it was very much something we had to work through. But, you know, the housing market did get to be very, you know, hot, and people did start buying and selling homes again.
Sure. Now, I would like to think that it's healthy for the market to cool off just a little bit because I was hearing stories about all cash offers above the asking price.
Yes.
And that's not sustainable, is it?
You know, it's really not. We hope to see it cool off. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the next few months and a year. Some people like to say the real estate market is like the stock market.
Right.
You know, it's a little unpredictable, but we'll have to see what happens in the next year, especially with interest rates.
Yeah. How about Delta? The Delta variant, is it playing a role at all? Are you seeing any squeamishness right now in the market?
You know, in our area particularly, not as much, but I have heard more so on the different coasts, East and West Coast, from other realtors I've talked to across the nation.
I know you've probably sold homes to people from either coast where they just can't even believe they can get this much house for their money.
Yes.
Everybody seems to be moving to Texas these days.
Yes. Yes. In fact, I was holding an open house last weekend, and I had multiple people come in that had been looking for the last year. They'd moved from California, another couple from New York, and they had been renting until they could actually get an offer accepted. One
of the things I love about April, and I urge you to follow her on social media, she's always posting market updates. We've got one from August that she puts up. It's very helpful. I think you like to educate your consumer on what the market is like, don't you?
Yes, I'm a big believer in education. both personally and what I can offer to other people, because knowledge is power. And so, that makes you be able to make an educated decision.
She's a prolific blogger. She writes all the time. And one of your recent blogs I found very interesting. It's about home staging and tips for sellers, because I know you've probably run into that couple who's selling the house and there's this one junk room. The one with the crime scene tape, and don't go in there because that's where the moose's head is and all the garbage. Buyers can't see past the junk, can they?
No, it's really important that you do prepare your home for the buyers, because you want the best offer, you want the most buyers looking at it, and such things as having a realtor come in and help you paint the house a neutral color, declutter, things like that are important.
Right. And even curb appeal, right?
Yes.
Like make sure that the shrubs and the
Yes.
edging is...
That's the first thing they see when they step out of the car.
Right.
That's their first impression, just like it is with people.
Yeah. I mean, have you had couples that you're touring around, like not even want to go into the house because they're like...
Exactly,
Really?
yes.
Yeah. So you're always educating your sellers on that. Give some advice to the person who's thinking about selling their home in the next year or two, and they're wanting to do some updates, but they want to get their money out of it. I'm told that like putting in a swimming pool might sound great, but you'll never get your money out of that.
So with home updates, there is a certain breaking point as far as how much money you will actually get out of it. Some updates that are good ideas are things like kitchens, bathrooms, even the wood flooring are good ideas. But, there are some things that are not going to be, it's good if you're going to stay there and live there for a while, but.
Yeah, and I attest, so my wife loves our kitchen, and it was not updated. We did update it, but she could see it. She walked in and she could see what it could become.
Yes.
The buyer at least has to see the potential.
Yes.
I mean, if he goes in and it looks like the whole thing was decorated by Marsha Brady, and it looks like the 70s, it's going to be hard for you to move that house, isn't it?
Yes, it will. People want to be able to, have some sense of what they can envision their life to be like in that home. So they want to see some potential. There is a level and a point at which they can make certain updates for themselves. So you need to create somewhat of a neutral palette for them, but give them something that they'll be able to see themselves in.
And one thing I can attest to is April really thinks of the customer first. It's not her pocketbook that she's worried about. She really wants this couple to be happy, because if you're going to be in business in real estate very long, you don't want just their business. You want their mom, dad,
Yes.
brother, sister, kids' business
Yes.
one day. And
Yes.
the very successful realtors, and Ebby, of course, is legendary, really was always working in the best interest of the customer. Do you want to talk about that?
Yes, my customers come first, and my priority is always to put them first. I believe in my philosophy is trusted service that you deserve, and I believe that, absolutely you will get the trusted service you deserve with me. I actually interned for Walt Disney World many years ago, and I believe that they are the upper echelon of customer service. So that really instills a lot in me as far as what you will get.
And the traditions of Ebby continue. I got to tell you a quick story. So I got to meet the late, great Ebby Halliday, and she played her little ukulele, and I was so impressed with her that I reached out to her to do a feature on Channel 4, and she wrote back a handwritten note, and I'd never seen this before in 25 years of doing news. The handwritten note said,
Yes.
"Thank you so much, Mr. Crilley. I would be honored. However, I've received too many accolades in my life, and please put your spotlight on somebody more deserving." And I read the note, and I was like, it was written by Ebby. I was like, wow, who turns away free publicity? But that's the kind of person she was, and that's the kind of
Yes.
realtors that you continue to attract.
And that's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be with Ebby Halliday is, their reputation, the professionalism, and it goes beyond saying, who they are as a company.
Outstanding. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We're going to end by putting up your website. apriltemple.com is the website. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you.
You bet. And that's it for now. We'll see you next time.